Hey folks, welcome back. My name is Krishna. If you're new to the channel, welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at the TextureLabs Distressor plugin. This is a paid plugin, $39 US, that offers you the ability to quickly dial in settings that will give your work a more retro or distressed or grungy type of feel, very much like something that has been weathered or something that has been copied multiple times, like posters that you might see on a telephone pole. It gives your work a very aged look. And you can see an example of the distressor effects here on the right-hand side. On the left is what I initially started out with. On the right is what distressors actually did for my work. So let's take a look and see how this particular effect works. And let's see if it's also worth the $39 US purchase price. So I purchased this particular plugin, and when I downloaded it, it comes with instructions on how to install the plugin, and it also gives you a little cheat sheet with how to use the plugin. Uh, and I found that to be very helpful. So we're going to first of all invoke this plugin. You have to go to our plugins menu, TextureLabs Distressor, choose it, and we'll get a panel that appears on the left-hand side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hide my finished version, and I'll put a duplicate of the left version here so we can see how this plugin has an effect in real time. So I'm opening up my layers. We can see that we have my inks layer, and then I have all of my colors, which includes any of the shading colors and any of the highlights on separate layers. This is just the way that I work. I have more videos on this particular topic if you're interested. Look up digital coloring on my channel, and you'll be able to find some of these techniques. In this video, we're going to look at how this Distressor plugin works. So it's a panel that appears, and you can see that there's a bunch of different styles that you can choose from here. And these styles basically give you a hint of the visuals as far as what this is going to look like. I'm going to choose inked here, and we have different styles here like fade style, grunge, print, grain, dust, paint. And I'm not going to go through every single option here, but I will show you what some of these options actually do. So we have sliders here that will become active once I actually apply the style. So let me go ahead and choose inked. I'm going to choose dust, and I'm going to click apply to my inked layer. And you can see that it does, in fact, add these little areas where it's not a solid black, but it has some areas that are open. That red that you're seeing is a result of the red that I have for the background of this character. So let me just hide that. And if I zoom in very carefully here, we can see a comparison here. The inks look like there's a little bit more of an imperfection. It has a little bit of a line boil around it. And it looks actually really like old and vintage, like I've actually photocopied this 500,000 times. I really like that particular aesthetic. Let's go ahead and select the purple for Skeletor's hood. I will choose a different effect. I will choose news. And this time I'm going to choose grain. And I'll click apply. And you can see that I've got the effect established here. Now the sliders become active, so I can interactively choose the amount. And just when I'm learning how to use any particular tool, I like to crank things up to see what the extreme effect looks like. And then I can always dial things back down if I don't like it for whatever reason. But I do like this kind of, kind of like pinhole type of look where it looks like some of the white is bleeding through the colors. And if I do like this particular effect and I want to add it to my other colored layers, I can easily copy my settings and I can go to the other layers individually if I want, and I can paste and it will apply that effect to the other color. Or I can select multiple layers by holding down the Shift key. And I can choose Apply. When I do that, what it will do is it will merge those two layers, basically creates a smart object that has that particular effect already weaved in. So you have to decide whether or not you want to select multiple layers at once or use each layer individually. The beauty of this particular tool, though, is that I've already performed multiple actions with Distressor. Let's say, for example, I realize that I want to get rid of that distressor effect on the inks. No problem. I can select that layer. I can just choose either hide distress, which basically turns off that particular effect, or I can remove it altogether and it goes right back to its original setting, which I really, really like. I think it's really cool because I don't have to necessarily make my final commit right away. I can work with the art, and if I realize later on that I want to change things, I have that flexibility and freedom to do that. What's also nice is on that layer that was grouped, if I decide that I want to remove that setting, it pops it back into its own individual layers once again, which I think is really cool. Now, one thing I would love to be able to see is an option to revert your settings back, like how I undid this particular distressor effect. What if I want to reapply that again? It would be nice to have some kind of a revert button to where I can reapply that. But for right now, I'm just going to choose copier, and I'll choose dust. I'll click apply. And that one really blows it out, and I can always dial that back down. You can see that's a pretty extreme effect. This one looks like the photocopy machine really ate it up. So, okay, now it's starting to come back in. Not digging that one too much. Let me try something like Perlin. And I can always reset this particular effect if I wish, so I can see what the original settings are. And again, maybe dust might be a better option here. That was on the print setting. And you can dial things as you choose. So not super crazy about that one here, but it's just a matter of playing with some of these parameters to get the settings that I want. And it does update in real time, and I can go to any layer at any point in time that already has Distressor applied to it, and I can make those settings, interactively. So it has this ability to remember where I was, and I can continue to play with the effect. So this is actually a pretty powerful tool. Let me remove that distress here. Let me try something else here. Let's just go with I'll go with vintage. I'll click apply. So that looks a little bit better. And of course, I can play with those parameters, and I can have something that looks, a little bit more organic or vintage, like if you're making a t-shirt design or doing something along those lines where you're creating some packaging art. This could be a great way to give your art kind of a old school type of feel. So what I've done here too is I'm just going to show you a piece of an illustration that I created a few days ago using Distressor. And I was able to use that to introduce some grain into the spaceman, the volcano. I use a lot of halftones within my work. And so for all the solid colors, I add these, little distressor effects to it, and I think it looks fantastic. Having used other tools where I can achieve similar results, I will tell you that it took me more time because I'd have to either use multiple actions or have multiple textures that I can then, do some processing with. I really like Distressor because it saves me a lot of time. It puts everything into one spot to where I don't need to have a bunch of different paper texture files or a bunch of other assets. I can basically dial in my options using this particular plugin, and it does save a lot of time. And it is pretty fast, all things considered. It just, it's you click a button, you wait a couple seconds, and you've got your effect and you're good to go. So for me, there's a lot of value there because I really like this particular type of aesthetic. $39 US saves me a lot of time and lets me experiment and try new things that would take me a lot of time if I had to set this up manually to achieve a specific effect. So your mileage may vary, but you can give it a try. You can certainly visit TextureLabs YouTube channel, which I'll put a link to in this video in the description. Fantastic, fantastic channel there if you're trying to level up your Photoshop game. I've subscribed to it. I get a lot of value out of it, and I really like this Distressor plugin. So for me, it gets 2 thumbs up. It's a fantastic little plugin, and check it out if you like vintage or distressed look for your work. I think you will find a lot to like here. So thanks for watching the video. If you appreciate what I've done here, please consider giving this a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please throw them down below. I'm always reading the comments and try to reply as often as I can. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to visit at some point in the near future, please let me know, and I will do my level best to add it to the docket. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.